star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm watching CBS this morning. There's something on about Elizabeth Smart. Now, she was kidnapped in 2003. My story started well before hers. And what's really strange is, like, growing up, and with whomever they let into the local area within my proximity, I've been asked before, like, what do you think, you're smart? Which now brings, like, a whole nother context to the word, because I used to ask, define smart. Like, what do you mean by smart? Because, like, I really don't trust the human species, because they haven't they haven't earned my respect or trust at this point, in, like, a real way. So it's really confusing. And then, like, but she actually got taken from her house and transported. No, I've been out and about and been darted and gone down and been transported and wake up and, like, I don't know how or who intervened or how that got processed. I don't know how to process it, quite frankly. But, like, the safety zone, I guess, is the four walls where you can or could lock a door, which is a false sense of safety, but whatever. But it's been my go-to in New York. But she says, like, people talk about fight or flight. And then there's this, she says there's this new thing called freeze. Yeah, freeze has pretty much been the way it's been the entire time, waiting for that whatever that was needed from the beginning. Because I know in, like, the moving picture industry, at some level, like, they're storytellers. There's journalists that pick up a story, they pick up a storyline, they direct their executors, their executives, they have the say-so to change a person's trajectory or entire life if they should actually find it in their hearts to, like, care enough. They have the ability to, like, save a girl's virtue prior to it going into a horrible scenario. And they also have the ability to completely wreck a girl's life and entire purpose. And they've proven that they have that power because they've done it. For mine, in my situation, it's a little different. Being in New York, I can see they made reference on Pretty Woman, which is not who or how I ever saw myself. I still see myself at 6, next to Mark, or 7, next to Mark King, who sat at a black tabletop in the science room with Miss Metz, who was doing some kind of intake. I was wearing a red tartan, like, plaid on a headband and on my skirt with matching, like, sweater vest. And because he asked me to dress up, which I did, and he wanted me to dress like that for school every day if I could remember. And then he left. That's where safety was. And then it just disappeared. So, I mean, is there such a thing as kidnapping without actually moving someone's location? What is that called? Where they purposely lock you in and then they take everything away piece by piece. based on whatever it is that they're fighting over in other areas. This is Elizabeth's story, with the way that she's talking about it.
But it was, I'd do whatever it took to survive. And in that thought process, that was followed up by, if I don't want them to kill me, then I should probably be as nice as I can. I should probably do everything that they tell me, because maybe if they do that, they'll like me. And if they like me, surely it'll be harder to kill me.
You know,
And then to live like that, with children in the house. Do you know how difficult that is? For all of you to just stand by and let somebody move into a girl's home that other people knew had no business being around me or children, but yet they just let it go on for years.
the phrase that's always used is sometimes trauma survivors had Stockholm syndrome. They've either go along with their captors, they're in love with their captors, they're brainwashed. What do you say to that?
I think that's a huge misunderstanding. I mean, how does a person, if you really think about it, fall in love with someone who is mean, with someone who is cruel? You don't. Most people have heard of fight or flight. Freeze is becoming more accepted, but many people have not.
When she says freeze is becoming more accepted, where? Like, who is this? Like, she had a trauma that's very pronounced. They removed her from her house. They took her somewhere else. There was a time span. There was publicity. She was brought back. Then there was some kind of formal foundation and whatever else that went on, because I don't know. It's the first time I'm hearing about it. It's the year 2022. But, and apparently there's like this group that she knows through, I guess, her foundational work, that has, I mean, I've heard of fight or flight before. I've heard that mentioned. I just haven't heard of freeze, and I have no idea. Like, again, she's in Utah, I'm in New York. It's within the same USA territory, but it's not like I mean, it's far.
Have not heard of appease yet. And appease is, it's not something you maybe necessarily consciously think about. It's something that you just automatically do. And it's doing what you have to do to survive.
A startling end to the case of a Utah girl snatched from her home.
We're here to announce officially that we have found Elizabeth Smart.
It was such a glorious day, Elizabeth, when the news broke that you were found and you were found alive.
The prayers of the world have brought Elizabeth home.
Police were tipped off by eyewitnesses who spotted Smart and her captors near a Walmart in Utah's Salt Lake Valley.
A police car pulled up, and initially I just thought it was like stopping a car or...
2003. I don't know what month it was. I don't know anything about it. But if this happened in 2003, I was working and I was going to nursing school at night. So I had a really full schedule, and I was pregnant at the time.
doing something else. But then another one pulled up and another one pulled up.
48 Hours interviewed the police officers who approached her.
She says, I think I know who you think I am, but I'm not that person. And we asked, well, who do you think we think you are? And she says, that Elizabeth Smart girl. And I'm not her. She says, one last time, let's put this to rest. Let's, for a peace of mind for yourself and your family, tell me you're Elizabeth Smart. She stated,
If thou sayest.
if thou say it.
I initially responded with, "Thou sayest," because my captors,
Thou sayest.
they were still within earshot.
Thou sayest means if you say so.
You say so.
You're still following what they told you.
So,
Wow.
in my mind, it was admitting who I was, and even confirming it was scary. I mean, I lived in a state of fear and terror for 9 months. I was scared doing anything.
And you said,
I admitted I was Elizabeth Smart. And I actually remember thinking that I made a mistake. I mean, they put my hands behind my back and handcuffed me and put me in the back of the car.
You were, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was handcuffed, and I thought, why did I say that? I guess I said the wrong thing. Why would they handcuff me? They must think I'm lying or I've done something wrong. And I mean, in their defense, I honestly don't think that anyone had ever been in that situation before. I don't think there was a best practices back then. I don't think anyone thought I was going to come back alive.
And Smart says to this day, her parents have not asked her details about her time in captivity.
Never.
My parents never asked once. I mean, I told them that about Jason and the choking, trying to kill me, that kind of thing. They knew about the slicing. The stretch marks is what thou sayest in this area, because that's what the doctor said. But the slicing of my stomach while I slept at night, somebody crept into the apartment on the first floor. They just don't talk about it. I don't talk about it. Never have. I didn't want my kids knowing about it. I didn't want them walking around in fear.
Never in the 20 years since I was kidnapped have they ever sat there and been like, tell me what happened. As an adult and a parent myself, and an advocate and a survivor, I look back and actually I feel a deep gratitude that they did not pressure me into telling them anything.
Today, Elizabeth Smart is focused on educating the public about sexual assault and exploitation and spending time with her family. She has been married for 10 years and has 3 children. Despite everything, would you say life is good for Elizabeth Smart?
Yes, I would say life is beautiful for Elizabeth Smart. My life's not perfect.
No, I get that.
My life's a hot mess a lot of the time. My family's not perfect, but I am happy because even beyond all of our imperfections, all of our hot messes, I am surrounded by people who I love more than anything in the world and who I know love me.
Wow. Yeah, she's deeply loved.
When I was alone in the house with my 4 boys, or my 3 boys, and then the 4th boy, and there was no Tia Frio, 1975, and there was no Romer, 1976, I was probably the happiest I've ever been as a human. Ever. For that short, brief period before everything was taken away. Again. And this is the beginning of that story. It's at 1.30.15.
Welcome back to CBS Morning. Sunday is going to mark 20 years since Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped from her bedroom at knife point in Salt Lake City. She was 14 at the time and survived 9 months in captivity. Since then, she has worked to help other survivors of abuse. She started the Elizabeth Smart Foundation, which joined forces with the Malou Foundation earlier this year. In April, they hosted a summit in Salt Lake City to fight child exploitation and sex trafficking. We spoke with Smart there in an exclusive interview, and she reflected on her experience 20 years ago. We have to warn you here that some of the details are disturbing.
It was the beginning of the worst 9 months of my life.
This morning, a desperate search for a kidnapped 14-year-old Utah girl.
In June of 2002, the lives of Elizabeth Smart and her family were changed forever.
Elizabeth, one of 6 children, was sleeping in the same room as her 9-year-old sister when a man broke into the house and took her away.
Here you are, 14 years old, supposedly in the safest place on earth, in your home, in your bed. And you wake up and there's a man there with a knife to your throat. And he takes you out of the home. What did you think was going to happen? What did you think this was?
At first, I don't even remember having, thoughts of what it was in my mind. It was just complete shock.
Smart describes the horrific 9-month ordeal that would follow. it took a terrible turn for you that very first night.
Yes. Well, and I mean, after that, my thoughts did go to he's gonna rape and kill me. And I even asked him that.
You asked him?
I asked him,
It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. I actually caught wind of this pretty woman mention. I don't have the very beginning of the movie. I do see reference in the movie, however, when Lou and Lynn took me to Mexico in 5th grade, where I was all alone in the water for hours. The top part of my bathing suit looks like what they dressed Julia Roberts in. And then Julia Roberts is wearing this red and black jacket and thigh-high black leather boots, which was a Halloween reference where I was taken to a party. And it's the only Halloween party that I've ever actually, been to where I got dressed up. Normally I go with the kids. The kids are dressed in respectable outfits, and I'm in mom clothes, fully covered. But at the end, and the guy's name is Edward Lewis, which just happens to be like a Godfather and father reference in this particular whatever. I find the movie is insulting at one level, then on craft work of being able to raise awareness and raise money, if it was ever to help, would have been really fabulous, but it didn't. It never actually touched my real living life to get me out and into somewhere really nice. It just left me in a really horrible position in New York, just dying slowly by being poisoned by all of the shitbags that don't care. And it's even ridiculous. I'm looking at this. I'm like, you know how many times I've worn this last outfit that she's wearing? Black blazer, white shell or t-shirt and jeans, just because it is business casual and it's not too frumpy, it's not too provocative, it's just what this level of New York is. This came out in 1990.
Had to be the top floor, right?
It's the best.
All right, I'm coming up.
Now at Jane Doe, with a star and a name, it's just really interesting. They choose Vivian in Lviv, and then the ion or the Ian, depending on how you phonetically, and then there's the DOE, which is, I don't know, the Department of Energy or Department of Education. Gets a little confusing at the Jew Atlantic Northeast, Jane. And Jew meaning a Sioux, a Jew, up or down.
So what happened after he climbed up the tower and rescued her?
She rescues him right back.
Keep what you have, or go for an envelope. Caitlin?
What's
Gotta go for a card.
interesting?
So you're going for an envelope?
Which is interesting because right after Pretty Woman was something called The Office, which I had never seen. And the end of the movie got cut off. The Office actually, I just noticed, takes place on a checkerboard, which is what my scarf is at the moment. And there, the last scene is some form of, it looks like a Jamaican Rastafarian walking across the street talking about dreams and Hollywood.
It's your dream. Everybody comes here. This is Hollywood, land of dreams. Some dreams come true, some don't. But keep on dreaming. This is Hollywood. Always time to dream, so keep on dreaming.
David! Oh, Michael, are we all set?
Isn't our interview tomorrow?
Yes. I just happened to be in the neighborhood. Thought I'd drop in, say hello.
Happen to be in Midtown Manhattan.
Thought I'd catch a show.
Middle of a workday?
No.
Never know when a mid-size SUV is going to fit into a helicopter. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.